We see hundreds of logos every day, like the Chevy bowtie, the Ferrari bucking stallion, the Toyota sombrero. But where do they come from? What do they actually mean? And are there any subliminal cryptographic messages infiltrating our subconscious that we don't even freaking know about? Well, based on everything that's ever happened ever, yeah, definitely. Fair warning, some of these are going to seem a little bit ordinary at first. But don't worry, because we're going to be talking about millionaires' mistresses and man-eating snakes before you know it. Me and the boys dove deep into the origin of every single automotive logo and broke them down into 5 categories. Up first, category number 1. The majority of automotive logos, the proletariat. I want you to look very closely. What do all of these logos have in common? Everybody together. All of these logos are based on the company name. These are sometimes called word marks or monogram logos, and they accounted for 40% of the logos that we looked at. And a bunch of those have no deeper meaning whatsoever. It's just the name. But there is still interesting stuff going on with these designs. Take the Hummer logo, for instance. It was redesigned recently to fit the distinctive 7-slot grille of the new Hummer EV. The only EV that The absolutely iconic Ford logo is in a script inspired by Henry Ford's signature from 1909. Just like the cursive Speed logo on the back of the Doberman shirt is inspired by Jesse's signature. Don't steal his identity. He spent all of his money on this company. The iconic blue oval showed up in 1927, and unlike a lot of other car companies that we are going to talk about today, it's barely changed since. 1927, that was 98 years ago. It is one of the best logos in the history of logos, not just car logos. Unlike Ford, their ex, Mazda, has gone through major changes over the same period. They once shared the triple diamond logo with Mitsubishi and took 75 years before finally settling on the current logo, an M that looks like wings. There's the Suzuki logo that's been used since 1958 and looks fine, but in their previous logo, the distinctive S shape was made by 2 birds. And I want to clarify that when I say it was made by 2 birds, it has 2 birds in it. It wasn't designed by birds. Sometimes logo updates do not go well. The latest Kia logo is meant to resemble a handwritten signature. When you guys look at the new Kia logo, do you think handwritten signature, or do you think what is KN? Who writes like that? The smart word mark intentionally used the wrong letter, a C for compact with an arrow symbolizing moving forward. Toyota says that the Lexus logo symbolizes the smooth curves and aerodynamic quality of Lexus vehicles and is rendered using a precise mathematical formula to aid manufacture. To a lot of people, it probably just looks like an L. At the risk of sounding dumb, I think it just looks like an L. Some word marks do have more than just the name or initials. Ketchum includes the number 7 for Super 7 since their cars are licensed versions of the Lotus 7. And speaking of Lotus, their logo includes the initials of founder Anthony Colin Bruce Chapman. He told his original business partners, Michael and Nigel Allen, that the AB was for Allen Brothers. But it wasn't. And speaking of not telling people things, there's Rolls-Royce, which are expensive, so they can afford 2 logos. First is the RR monogram, which stands for Railroad. JK stands for Rolls-Royce. And since 2020, the other is the Spirit of Ecstasy. The Spirit of Ecstasy has its origin in 1909, when Rolls-Royce owner Baron John Walter Edward Douglas Scott Montague asked sculptor Charles Sykes to create a, quote, personal mascot for his silver ghost. What he designed was a small statue of a woman. Ornaments like these were popular at the time, and some owners were creating ones which Rolls-Royce thought were inappropriate. So they also asked Sykes to make a hood ornament version that could be installed on every Rolls-Royce from the factory. And this little lady is what he came up with. What he didn't tell Rolls-Royce is that he'd chosen Montague's lover and mother of his illegitimate bastard son as the model for the statue. So every Rolls-Royce since has had a little side piece baby mama statue on the hood. You might think that the Spirit of Ecstasy has wings. Well, guess what? It doesn't. What looks like wings are actually flowing clothes. But wings are very common in our next category. Category number 2, pictorial marks. Or as I like to call them, object things. And the most common object thing by far is a set of wings. Winged logos became popular during the Art Deco period, a very cool time in design, the 1920s and 1930s. Art Deco was all about elevated luxury, and putting a brand name inside of stylized wings conveyed that perfectly. British automakers were especially into wings, and several British auto logos still have wings today. Bentley, Mini, Aston Martin, Morgan, all currently winged. Eventually, stylized wings simply became a symbol of luxury cars. And that is why Hyundai gave the Genesis logo wing. And Chrysler has tried to evoke that same sentiment of style and luxury many, many times. Their first winged logo debuted in 1928, and another in 1936, and another in 1951, and then another in 1990, and then yet another in 2009. But the strangest winged logo of them all is probably Skoda. That's a 3-feathered wing with an eye attached to an arrow. Emil Skoda loved Native American feathered headdresses. Apparently, that inspired the logo. Pontiac also has a Native American inspired logo. It was originally an arrowhead, but much of the logo's original shape was lost over the years. Pontiac itself is named after a Native American chief. We made an entire video about the names of car companies. Go watch it. Click the card. Oh, and what's this one? The logo of today's sponsor, Blackview. A nice stylized hummingbird. A nod to what their dash cams are all about. Small, sharp, and always alert. I literally just came up with that. The Elite 8 is their newest model, and it's basically your car's second set of eyes. Front and rear 2K QHD cameras, both with Sony Starvis 2 sensors, so you can actually read license plates at night, even under bad lighting. It's also got ultra low power parking mode, which means it keeps watching your car for a year without killing your battery. And if something happens while you're away, you get a real-time cloud alert and can view footage right on your phone. And it's sturdy. The Elite 8 has an auto temperature cutoff at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Add a little hummingbird to it with the Blackview Elite 8, and he'll keep an eye on it. Check it out at blackview.com. I'm stoked that I have one of these now, honestly, guys. There's crazy people out there. Much like Pontiac, a lot of other logos evolve in ways that lose much of their original reference. The Oldsmobile logo first incorporated a rocket because the term rocket had been used for Olds engines and models since the 1940s. That's not as clear in Oldsmobile's final logo, which is supposed to look like a launching rocket, which hopefully carried the brand to heaven because it's dead. I think that it looks like an O and kind of like crosshairs because it got sniped. Lancia, which in Italian means lance or spear, historically had logos featuring a steering wheel on a shield and a Lancia flag being flown from a spear. The modern logo is apparently an evolution of those, but it's lost almost all of the details. You wouldn't know, but that's a spear. That's a spear. Sometimes the parts of the logo are easy to recognize, like the Spyker logo. That's made from a propeller and a spoked car wheel, a reference to the historic Dutch company of the same name that made airplanes and cars. Same name, no affiliation. Similarly, the Maserati logo is obviously a trident, but has more of a mysterious origin. Mario Maserati was asked by his brothers, the founders of Maserati, to create a logo for their company. And there are two stories about how that happened. One says that it was suggested by a family friend because the trident is emblematic of Roman gladiators and the god Neptune, and it gave the brand a symbol of strength while also keeping it distinctly Italian. That's a good origin. Alternatively, I've also heard that Mario couldn't come up with anything. Dude was walking around stressing. He was like, oh, actually, that's a pretty sick statue. I'll just do that. There's plenty of object logos that are more straightforward. Saturn. Planet Saturn, even though the company was supposed to be named after their Saturn V rocket, which did not go to Saturn. And yes, it is Saturn V rocket, not Saturn V. I'm sorry, everybody. Also, I didn't know that it was the planet Saturn until we started researching this video. I always just thought it was a really cool looking X. If you look at it, it's the planet Saturn. Great Wall is a huge car company in China, but you couldn't have guessed that. Their logo looks like a big wall. And if you squint, you can also kind of see the letter G. The Infinity logo is a road running to the horizon, as though infinite. That's pretty good. The Lada logo is a ladja, a Slavic boat similar to a Viking longboat. That's where the company got its name, ladja. Plymouth logo, also a boat, though it's meant to be the Mayflower that landed at Plymouth Rock. The Callaway logo is 3 stripes in the shape of cars, rendered in red, white, and blue for America, my favorite country. Although it does have horizontal stripes, making it the flag of the Netherlands. Other object logos dig into a brand's mechanical pedigree. The 2 chevrons in the Citroën logo are actually dual helical gear teeth, a nod to the company's origins. Citroën's founder held a patent for those so-called herringbone gears, and that's how he made his nut and was able to start a car company. The Tesla logo, which looks just like a T at first glance, is actually a cross-section of the rotor from an electric induction motor. And the Acura logo is not a letter A, although it looks like one. It's also a pair of calipers, the kind used for accurate measurements. Get it? Some of them stem from the company's roots. The Nissan and Datsun logos both had a red circle behind their names to represent the Japanese rising sun. Speaking of suns, the red top half and blue bottom half of the Fisker logo represent the setting sun over the Pacific Ocean, a nod to Fisker's California origins. The 2 pillars represent a designer's pen and the other an engineer's ruler. That is a lot of information packed into one logo. Vape gods and lesbians, listen up. Subaru was formed by a merger between 5 Japanese manufacturers, and their 6-star logo is the Pleiades star clusters. 5 smaller stars represent the original companies, joining to form the large star, which is the Subaru Corporation. I said this in another video, but the Subaru logo is the car logo equivalent of a sorority girl tattoo. This is for each of my siblings, the little 5 stars. This one's my mom, this one's my dad, this one's my brother Ben, this one's my sister Angie, this one's me, and then the big stars are family. The noble logo is truly noble because it wears a crown, cleverly formed by 2 ends. So some of those object logos are pretty obvious, like the trident. Some are less obvious, like the Acura calipers. But this next category, there is no way that anyone would ever guess what it represents unless someone else explained it. So, category number 3, abstracts, aka I don't get it. We're talking vibes, baby. Symbols that don't really mean much of anything, or do they mean everything? You know who knows what I'm talking about? Renault. Renault knows what I'm talking about. Renault knows. That sounds like a drug. Oh, damn, dude. Keith goddamn Renault knows. Like Renault. The Renault rhombus. It's just a shape that they started using in 1925, and it stuck. And you know what? It looks great. Opel's logo looks like a logo from a cartoon. Originally, the lightning bolt was like a design on the side of the Opel Blitz truck because Blitz means lightning, which is a weird thing to name a car mere decades after Blitzkrieg. The Chevy bow tie is one of the most famous abstract automotive logos. It's rumored to be something that co-founder Billy Durant saw on the wallpaper of a Parisian hotel, tore a piece off, and took it home with him to Detroit. Apparently, according to Toyota, it's not a sombrero. Apparently, the 3 overlapping ellipses represent the unification of the hearts of customers and the heart of Toyota products. It also kind of looks like a T. And also a sombrero. The top symbol of the Neo logo is said to represent the sky, and the bottom is the earth. Whoa. Turkish automaker Tog uses 2 arrows because Turkey was historically the place where Eastern and Western worlds meet. Rivian also uses 4 arrows, supposedly like the points of a compass. Audi's got 4 rings, just like LeBron, 1 for each of the companies that were merged to form Auto Union in 1932, which was later renamed Audi. Similar to Subaru. It's a sorority girl tattoo. Mercedes logo is derived from the circular Benz logo and the 3-pointed star from the Daimler logo. The points are said to represent land, sea, and air because Daimler built cars, boats, and planes. Another star is the Lincoln logo, known as the Continental Star. That design was used on the Ford sub-brand Continental, which was rolled into Lincoln in 1959. The logo was created for the Continental Mark II and was reportedly designed just a few hours before the Mark II was revealed to Ford's board for approval. Polestar's logo also appears to be a star, but Citroën disagreed with that and sued. They said that the logo was composed of 2 chevrons, same as theirs. The EU sided with Polestar, but French courts decided with Citroën, and Polestar cars couldn't be sold in France until the 2 companies reached an agreement in 2022. French car companies sue everybody. Volvo uses the circle and arrow because in medieval alchemy, that was the symbol for iron. Mitsubishi's 3 diamonds are just that. Mitsu means 3. Hishi means water chestnut. But because a water chestnut's leaves are rhombus or diamond shaped, Hishi also means rhombus or diamond. It means both. The actual Japanese word for diamond and rhombus is because of water chestnut. Okay? All you freaking Evo lads out there who are like, actually, it doesn't mean that. Yeah, it does. Okay? It freaking does. I just want to say. Evos are so much cooler than STIs. It's not even a comparison. I just wanted to say that. The papaya orange mark that McLaren calls its streamlined speed mark is an evolution from a set of black, red, and white chevrons that looked like a checkered flag. What the crap is a chevron? I feel like I should just clarify. This is a chevron. You might notice it from a lot of logos. It's my favorite name of a shape. Chevron. The signature papaya color that McLaren uses dates back to the 70s, but in the 80s they switched colors to match Marlboro, who was sponsoring their team at the time. In the 90s, the multiple chevrons turned into a single chevron, which turned into the shape that we know today, and then papaya was restored. Great color. Love seeing it on the cars. Very hard to make merch that you can wear. All of it is the brightest orange you could possibly imagine. Please just make a normal hat. Dodge has recently resurrected a classic 3-triangle logo from 1962. When the original designer was asked what it was, he hadn't really thought about it, so he just blurted out Fratzog, and the name stuck. Dodge has had a ton of logos, and one of the most distinctive ones was the Ram. That had been a symbol for Dodge vehicles as far back as the 30s when it was used as hood ornaments. Ram became its own brand, and like many others, it used an animal for its logo, which brings me to my favorite category, animals. Guys, we are almost there. We are almost through every single car logo. If you like videos like this, hit the like button so you know. Also, we make all kinds of videos. Jesse, throw me that hat. Speed. We make everything. Oh, what kind of channel is this? It's a freaking everything channel, dog. Cool. It's about anything cool. It's about pants, car logos, building bikes. And it's about putting cars together. It's about tons of shit, dog. But it's all fun. All right. Animals. The explanations for some of these are pretty obvious. Okay, Ram. It's a ram. Jaguar. It's a Jaguar. Eagle. It's an eagle. Peugeot Lion, a little bit more obscure. It dates all the way back to the 1850s, back when they were making pepper mills. It was chosen because a large number of people were illiterate at the time, so they wouldn't have easily recognized a word or a name. And it is a good thing that they chose a lion because that has led to some absolutely amazing Peugeot hood ornaments. Another lion is the Holden logo. Now, it looks like he's holding a ball, like at the circus, but according to the original designer, it's rolling around a stone and there's a fable that man discovered the wheel after seeing the lion do this, which is a lot cooler. Probably the most famous automotive animal is the Ferrari prancing horisto, which is Italian for prancing horse. It was a symbol for an Italian flying ace named Francesco Baracca. To that horse, he added an Italian tricolor and occasionally an SF for Scuderia Ferrari. Ferrari's arch rival, Ferruccio Lamborghini's spite project, Lamborghini chose a bull for their logo. Ferruccio Lamborghini picked a bull because he was a Taurus and he also liked bullfighting. In fact, most iconic Lamborghini machines are named after bulls. Mura, Islero, Murcielago, Reventon, Gallardo, Diablo, Aventador, Huracan, Grant. My favorite animal and my favorite car designing man, Carroll Shelby, and the Cobra. Old Carroll Shelby didn't choose the name Cobra for his first car. That was actually picked by the British company AC, who built the body. Their logo is just an A and a C. But Shelby removed those badges as soon as the body showed up. Shelby figured that if he got something called Cobra, it ought to have a cool picture of a freaking cobra on it. So he designed a logo, and when the first prototype was delivered to the office, the employee who opened the box, Peter Brock, took it to Shelby and said, "What is this shit?" They screamed back and forth for a while before deciding that Brock should design the logo instead. That original Cobra logo evolved into the one that we know today. I would love to see that terrible first Cobra logo.
Hey, don't give me that look. Don't think you're getting at us by being cute. What, why are you handing me this? What is this, more trash? Better be a written apology.
Oh my God, bro.
Our final animal logo is close to Jesse's heart. It's the Saab Griffin. The half eagle, half lion was on the coat of arms for the Swedish province of Scania, which is where Saabs come from. Now that we're done with animals, that brings us to our final category. These logos are all about establishing pedigree. Crests. Some of these are totally made up, but some are real family crests from the company's founders. The Koenigsegg logo is based on Christian von Koenigsegg's family coat of arms, which dates back to the Middle Ages. Gordon Murray's logo is derived from the Murray family crest, which features a mermaid holding a hand mirror and a comb. Whoa, what? What is your family about? This. The first Buick Shield logo is based on founder David Dunbar Buick's Scottish family crest. Instead of using a company founder's pedigree, Cadillac uses the family crest of Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac, founder of Detroit. I wonder if they licensed it from them. This is America. Rags to riches. American dream. So, of course, not every founder has a pedigree and a coat of arms. So some just make one up. Jared Shelby, founder of SSC, but not related to Carroll Shelby, did just that. He created a crest with a checkered flag pattern, a stag to represent speed. He even threw some Latin on it. In veritate victoria, meaning in truth, victory. That guy is I mean, he built the fastest car in the world, so. But he's got a little like, what's your last name? Shelby. Okay. What's that? My family crest. Your family crest has a race flag on it? Yeah. That means in truth is victory. Okay. Dan Panaz created a crest for his company too. Features red, white, and blue for his American roots, and also a shamrock to honor his wife Melanie's Irish heritage. Alejandro de Tomaso also celebrated heritage with his logo. Even though his company was Italian, he was Argentinian. So the logo featured his home country's flag, and that weird symbol was a cattle brand used by his ranching ancestors. Carl Abarth also made up a crest. It features the Italian tricolors, is half yellow to rep his hometown of Murano, and half red because that's the classic color of Italian cars in international racing. Oh yeah, it's got a giant scorpion on it. Not just because it's rad, but because old Carl was a Scorpio. Like Drake. Release the list! We're going to put Bugatti in here, not because it looks perfectly like a crest, but because it has a classic style and represents something. Bugatti logo is an emblem, which is often grouped with crests when talking about logos. It's even got its own name, the Bugatti Macaron. The backwards E and B stands for founder Ettore Bugatti, and the 60 dots either represent pearls or the hand threading of safety wire, a feature found on older Bugattis that prevented fasteners from backing out when you were driving at the limit. Pretty sick. And finally, one of the best completely made up crests, Alpina. It features a throttle body and a camshaft to represent Alpina's engine torque and smoothness. Some Crest logos aren't based on families. Some are based on places. Porsche's logo is also a nod to its German home. The horse in the center is inspired by the seal of Stuttgart, once a center for horse breeding. In Old High German, Stuttgart or Stoutgarten or Stoutgarten means stud farm, which is what I call this garage. The red and black stripes and antlers making up the rest of the Porsche Crest are all derived from the seal of the former German state Württemberg-Hohenzollern that was merged into the modern state Baden-Württemberg in 1952. The BMW Roundel logo, another one which is technically an emblem, not a crest, is sometimes said to be based on a spinning airplane propeller. And that is likely due to BMW ads from the 1920s which depicted it that way. But, in fact, the blue and white pattern is taken from the flag of BMW's home, Bavaria. And finally, there's Alfa Romeo. One half of their crest logo is a red cross on a white background, the flag of Milan. The other half is a symbol from Milan's coat of arms called Biscione, literally big grass snake. And that is it. That is every car logo explained. I know that we missed a bunch of them. This was 111 car logos. Subscribe. I love you. I didn't mean it. I love you.